Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Odyssey House Journals, one of the most watched and listened to podcasts dealing with addiction and recovery. And I think one of the reasons I was thinking about this last night is the fact that people who have loved ones in addiction or who have an addiction issue are always looking for hope, right? And relapse is part of the whole recovery thing. And so a lot of our guests that we have on show that it can be done, which is the message we want to get across, that you don't have to live with the woes of addiction for your entire life. You can make a change at any age. I'm an example of that. Ernie's an example of that. And Nicole, you're still a youngster, so you're not a great example of that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Randall Carlisle, your host. Nicole Slack is the co-host, and our guest is Ernie Sanchez. Welcome.
Thank you.
And the reason I say hope is you've been sober for how long?
20 plus years. I'll be 21 in 2 weeks.
Isn't that amazing? That's. Do you miss it?
Getting high?
Yeah.
No.
Because of the bad things that went along with getting high, or?
No, it's the fact that I actually love who I am today. When I was getting high, I didn't love who I was. I was running from me, and it was everybody's fault but mine. I couldn't hold to the accountability of my actions. Today, in the last 20 years, I hold myself accountable, and I'm happy with who I am. I don't have everything that I would like, but I got everything that I need.
And see, that's I think you just summed it up. When I was going through my years of battling alcoholism, I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. I felt shameful for the way I was living. And now I've learned to be happy in sobriety. Nicole, were you happy or like yourself?
No, I was so ashamed of myself. I isolated every day. Every single day I found a way to get myself alone by the end of the day because I did not like who I was and I didn't want to expose people to me.
And blaming others is such a common trait with people dealing with addiction. I've gone through 4 wives, and it was all their fault, right? Couldn't have been mine.
I went through 3.
Well,
so you're ahead of me.
And it was all their fault at the time, right?
It was.
Well, and you've gone through 1 or
2 marriages, but only 1 in my addiction.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, but it was definitely my fault, and I knew it.
Oh, you knew it at the time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was a lot of self-loathing, and
right.
It was a unique experience, but yeah.
So tell us about your days of addiction. What were they like, and how long did it go? What was the drug?
Well, I started out, in the Marine Corps. Smoking weed and drinking was what I started out with. I was 17. 2 days after I turned 17, I was in Marine Corps boot camp. So I was a kid.
I thought you had to be 18.
No, at the time, it was Vietnam era. I'm a Vietnam era veteran.
Okay.
My mom just had to sign, and my mom couldn't sign it quick enough. She wanted me gone.
Yet Ernie in the Marine Corps.
Yeah,
Get him out of here.
But I grew up with men that were way older than me, and the thing to do was to go out and encounter prostitutes and hit the bars every weekend. As a 17-year-old out on leave every weekend, far away from home,
It was heaven.
Well, it was, because I had my checks all to myself. Up to that time, I had work jobs when I was living with my family, but I have no memory of ever signing a check. I was always turning my checks to my mom. And I didn't realize until I got to Odyssey where a lot of my issues came from, because I have no memory of my mother ever telling me she loved me.
or ever hugging me. So that was added to my self-esteem, self-worth. But getting back to where I started my addictions is like it was in the Marine Corps, and it was hard adjusting back to civilian life when I got out because it wasn't the same. I had to work to pay bills, and I wasn't wanting to work because in the service you're going to get paid no matter what you do. They have food you can eat at the mess halls. You didn't have to have any money in your pocket. You didn't
I
have
didn't
to pay
think about
rent.
that. You don't have any expenses at all.
No, your clothes, and you can walk around in uniform, sleep in your uniform. You didn't have to do nothing. But you get back out, and you got to start doing all that stuff. And you didn't have 30 days of paid leave either, in civilian world. So it wasn't hard to, make that to criminal behavior and drinking more. And at the time, back in those days, you could get speed, crosstops, because I never was good at drinking. I have 2 or 3 beers and the room starts spinning on me. But if I have some kind of drug in me, I could drink, and I'd get sick. So I started out with crosstops, and then when those weren't available anymore, I started starting cocaine. And I did that for a year or two, and before I knew it, I had somebody showing me how to rock it up in a spoon. And that was my downfall. And for 17 years after that, I was stuck in bathrooms, bedrooms, and hotels, and went through 2 marriages like that.
You weren't a very good husband at the time.
I wasn't, but I thought I was pretty good. I was going to work, I became a licensed electrician, but I remember one of my bosses telling me one day, he said, "Journey, you're a darn good electrician if you would just show up all the time." And I wasn't a very dependable person. I loved what I did, but as soon as I got a check, I was gone. And I always thought that was kind of weird because the weekend after payday, I was broke. I didn't have money for lunch, and everybody else, "Oh, Ernie, what's going here? Let me buy you breakfast," And it was embarrassing, but not embarrassing enough to quit doing what I was doing.
So what finally brought you to the concept of quitting?
Well, I tried it several times. I went to the VA for 2 weeks one time. I wanted to kill myself one time and got on the Cocaine Anonymous hotline. Got talked out of that and met someone, it's my sponsor. And I went to meetings for a year. But I'm a guy that can function if I'm being told what to do. But if I'm not being told what to do, I run amok. That's just me. I didn't last. After I received my first year sober chip, and I was a GSR at the time, the girl I was living with, no intimacy there, I was just renting a room. She kicked me out of the house. So that was my poor me excuse, and I went and tore all the envelopes over, of the traditional money, and went and spent that all on crack. I threw all the chips away, all the literature, everything, and I went out and used. It wasn't until 2003 that Metro Narcotics kicked in my door, took my stepdaughter and my wife and myself out the door. And then next thing I know, I'm being told that I need to come to Odyssey, and I could work trying to get my daughter back, my stepdaughter back. And
So were you successful through the program the first time, or how many
I've
times?
only been through the program one time. That's all it took. One time for me to say, "Hey, this is it." I've never relapsed in recovery. I've never had a dirty UA in recovery. I did everything that I was supposed to because I wanted to get that little girl back. The state is dirty. I'll be the first. I've been wanting to write a book about it forever, but I I'm a procrastinator by nature, still am, you know. They told me that I had no legal standing. My wife went into court and told them that I wasn't a biological father. She was a little blonde hair, blue eyed, so it kind of was a clue. Everybody knew she wasn't my daughter. But I was married to her mother at the time she was born. I signed her birth certificate, all that stuff, you know. And they said, well, you could go ahead and get reunified. They had me go through the hoops of trying to adopt her. On the form that you had to fill out, it says right on the top, anyone with a felony in the household will disqualify you automatically. So and I asked them about that, you know, hey, doesn't this apply to me? Oh, no, you're the father, so you should be fine. Come to find out, when I was denied the adoption, it was because I had a felony.
Wow. So you got bad advice.
I did, and they took my $750, which at the time, I didn't have a whole lot of money. My first couple of years in recovery and with Odyssey, I was struggling. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have a car. I was going to treatment, and I was riding a bike to my job sites with my backpack that had my hand tools in them.
So
that's all I could do.
$750 was a lot.
It was, you know, but I did it because I thought that I could get that little girl back, you know. And I've talked to other people about that, you know. It's like, if I hadn't been in recovery at the time, and if I hadn't been at Odyssey, the day they finally came out and said, you will not get her, there's no chance of ever getting her, you're in, you know, there's 1,000 ways you're never going to get her. I mean, I broke down. And I remember driving, outpatient was downtown. It wasn't like it is now, you know. Outpatient was downtown, and I went down there in the middle of the day, and the Odyssey staff was there, and they talked to me, calmed me down, and kept me going in the program. You know,
Your first indication that something like that is to use again, right?
it was. That's why I went to them, because I wanted to just say F it to it all.
Yeah.
Well, why even try when this is what the deal is, and this is how it's going to be, and if the world's unfair, my thinking there came straight back at me, you know. Well, why try, you know? And I was giving myself permission to act out on everything, you know, and my reframe was get to Odyssey, and I did.
Thank goodness.
I think so. You know, it's still emotional for me, but I don't regret anything. And that night, when I got home, I was able to get down and kneel. I don't believe in God. I believe in a higher power. I'm spiritual. I don't think God or a Christian or anything like that would let all this stuff go on, but I believe in a higher power. That's my belief. And I got down on my knees and I said, look, whoever you are, do what's best for her and not what's best for me. Just give me the strength. And I have not looked back on that. I don't live in shame. I don't live in regret. Do I have regrets? Yes, but I don't live in it. I live my life today to the best that I can each day, and I do my best to not offend anybody on a daily basis. Am I perfect?
You offended me already when you came in here. What are you talking about?
Well, I like I was getting ready to say, I'm not perfect at it, you know, but I don't have to be. I'm just a human being here learning how to live my life and be as happy as I can be.
What's happened with your stepdaughter?
She's a grown woman now.
You have
She's
a
got
relationship with her?
I have none. She went through some stuff when she was in foster care, in and out. She didn't get adopted till she was 8 or 9. She's got issues with me, and I even had a police officer make contact with me over those issues, and it's like I told him. She was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl. You don't think DCFS wasn't called on me multiple times before this all happened? And when they did take her from me, you don't think that DCFS and state and everybody did everything they could to try to come up with charges on me? but I was given a clean bill of health. That nothing ever happened with that little girl and me. Okay, it's all a matter of record. So if you want to make accusations, feel free to cross all your T's and dot all your I's, because I work for a millionaire now, and I am capable of fighting you guys back. I never heard from them. My ex-wife, who I still have some contact with, does have contact with her, and I've relayed messages to her. You know, if you want to go into therapy, I'm more than willing to pay for that. I'm guilty of not being a good father to her, and she has a perception, but it's not a true perception of me.
That's too bad.
It is, but, you know, at the time that was going on, when the police officer contacted me out of Bountiful, I had a boy contact me on Facebook looking for my dad. Now, my dad had been dead for 20 some odd years, and he thought he was my brother. I was already like 50 years old. He's not my brother, you know. But come to find out, he was my son. From a chance, well, I ain't gonna say chance encounter, but I had a relationship with his mom that,
A brief relationship.
well, it lasted for about 3 months.
So, well, that's
Yeah,
brief.
yeah. She was my daughter's babysitter when I was staying in the shelter, when I still had my daughter. But he was looking for me. So I believe my higher power took the little girl out of my life, because I wasn't a good father. I was doing all kinds of stupid stuff. But once I got myself okay, and I think I was like, probably about 7, 8 years sober. This little boy, he was 13 years old, he came into my life and wanted to know his dad, you know. And I didn't know anything until he put his mom on the phone. And as soon as he put his mom on the phone, I knew who she was, and then I knew who he was, because I had heard rumors, but I never knew how to seek her out.
Wow, the son you never knew you had.
Yeah,
And do you have a relationship with
I
him
do.
still?
I do.
A good one?
A good one. Yeah. Got a little granddaughter by him and everything.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's quite a story.
I love it, you know. I mean, it's, I do my best to be a good father to him. He's a grown man now. He's 20, 21. Thinks he knows everything, you know.
What one of the biggest changes, it sounds like, for you was learning to love yourself. And if that happened at Odyssey, how did they get you from the fact that you didn't love yourself to that you love yourself, you're happy, you're peaceful with the way life is? How did that happen?
Affirmations and quotes. People don't believe the power of affirmations, but the negative self-talk that we tell ourselves, I'm worthless, I'm a piece of crap, this ain't good for me, I don't deserve this. You know, when you start believing that you do deserve to be happy, you deserve to be living a good life, you deserve to have clean clothes, you deserve to have food in your fridge, those are powerful things, and they help me be thankful for what I got. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't have. I'd like to have a new truck, but my truck's got a new engine and there's new tires on it, you know, and it's paid off. So I'm thankful for that, and you know I can't tell people strong enough about affirmations and what they do, because they take away the negative self-talk that we tell ourselves all the time.
Because our core beliefs are so negative, and we're telling ourselves that and acting on that all the time. Yeah. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll stick with you. That's very cool.
So that old Saturday Night Live skit where the guy looks in the mirror and does his affirmations is pretty realistic, really.
Well, I don't watch Saturday Night Live, but that's what he's doing.
What he did, and everybody laughed at it, but he looked in the mirror and he said, "You're good enough. You're strong enough. You're, that kind of stuff." And they did it as a comedy skit, but there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
Didn't we? didn't we tried that, and I never heard you follow up on it. She facilitates a group of jets, okay? And that was the assignment at the meeting that one time.
To just say, tell yourself you love yourself one time in the mirror every day. And a lot of the jets did it, and they had really positive experiences. I only did it 2 or 3 times. I just felt so weird about it.
Well, we get tired or we get busy in our lives. So what helped me was, because I was always rushing out the door, trying to catch a bus, get to work, or get to treatment or whatnot, Post notes. I would put the Post notes everywhere on my cabinets, in my bathroom, on the door going and out from each room, whatnot. I would put Post notes, and then I'd be on a bus or something, and I would see some quotes just on the billboards inside the bus that, God, that sounds cool. And it wouldn't be the whole thing, but there'd be part of it that would just stick out to me, and I'd write it down. But those are how I started implementing them in my life on a daily basis, was just Post notes.
Doing it.
Well, you know what? And I'd just be there brushing my teeth for a minute, and I'd look at it and I'd say, yeah, okay, I am worth something. And, or, hey, I deserve to have a job, and they are powerful because for the most part, they took away the negative self-talk.
Wow, that's some good advice. I think I'm gonna follow that, because we need reinforcement. And anybody who has the disease of addiction needs reinforcement for the rest of their life, or you'll falter. And one of the things that struck me is the way you have stayed connected to Odyssey. Can you talk about that with the grads and everything?
Yes, I love Odyssey. I owe my life to it. Whenever Odyssey has called and asked me for this or that, I may grudgingly say yes, but I still say yes. I don't care what it is. If Odyssey asks me to come and speak, if Odyssey asks me to help facilitate grad group, if Odyssey needs me at a house, they don't do marathons anymore, but I used to always go to the marathons. I can never give back to Odyssey what they've given me. They've grown, they've gotten way big. I miss going to the houses, but I am, after going to graduate group the last few weeks, I've made an inner commitment to myself that I need to start going back to the houses and visiting them and checking on. The hardest part I have going to the houses is I'm old school. If I see you doing something, I'm going to pull you up. But I understand that's not quite how they do things now. It's, are you all right? Should you be talking to her without a breaker? I don't know if I could do that. I tried doing that the other night, but it was hard,
The old school grads do it different than my gen of grads.
Yeah, we should tell people that the old Odyssey House treatment program was
rigid.
Was what?
Rigid?
Rigid's one explanation.
Well, they didn't hold punches. If you were doing something, they held you accountable right then and there.
And they had something called marathons, which were which have since, I think we've been told years ago that violates people's civil rights or something. You describe a marathon briefly.
A marathon is when the house is dirty, something's going on in the house, whatever house it is, so there's an issue, whether it be smoking or whether they're sexually acting out or not using breakers like at outpatient or something. So then they bring the whole house together and they all sit in a room, not able to talk, speak, nothing to each other. You sit there and contemplate. You write up your list of things that you need to hold yourself accountable for. And then upper house is usually the one that comes in first, and they usually come in front of staff and graduates, and you come clean with them. Hey, okay, I've been acting out and I haven't been paying. That was one of the big deals is I haven't been paying my fees. I used stuff like that, And then when they come through, they bring up each group as they go along until they have that house. Everybody's come through, and held themselves accountable for the things that they're doing that's breaking the rules or the laws in some cases.
And if people didn't come clean, you stayed until they did, right?
Yes, yes.
So how long could something like that go?
A week was a minimum. I mean, a week that's pretty quick. But there were people that held on to their stuff you weren't going to get it out of. Some people actually left the program because they weren't about to come clean because they were that bad.
Wow.
My supervisor said they did a marathon when she was in treatment at Odyssey for a missing peanut butter cup, and it took like 2 weeks
Wow.
for someone to just come clean that they took it.
And it's really not about the issues. It's about learning to hold yourself accountable. Being transparent and whatnot. That word transparent is something that sticks with me because when I got fired from Odyssey because of my lack of transparency, I had a person that was a client, and she had been on Facebook, and I saw her on Facebook. And when I asked her to bridge the house, she didn't. And so the third time I saw her on there, I made an inappropriate message to her. Now, my bad was that I wasn't transparent with my supervisor or with staff that I had wrote that message. So she turned around and went to court, drug court, and told the judge, well, a staff member, even though I was part-time, a staff member sent me this inappropriate message. Well, I got fired that day. But I learned the word transparency real quick,
Yes, you did.
And that's the one thing that I preach also, just as much as affirmation, transparency.
We're almost out of time. A lot of people watching have loved ones who are dealing with addiction, or perhaps they're dealing with addiction themselves. Offer your thoughts on what they should do, what steps you should take to get sober and to find recovery.
Well, I always say, depending on your addiction, either turn yourself into jail if you got warrants, or turn yourself into detox if you need to get clean. If you have a loved one, and I've had loved ones, and I have a lot of friends that are in recovery, but I won't enable you. No, I'm not giving you money. I'm not giving you a place to sleep, until you want to sober up, until you're actually sobering up. I'm not about to help you, When you're willing to make that transformation that you want help and you want to stay sober, I'll help you then. But to help you keep using, I'm not going to be there. So, detox, it was me going to jail that actually put me on the road to where I'm at today. But I have taken people personally to detox plenty of times. And I do tell people, go to detox so that you can get clean and start thinking. And detox, Volunteers of America, will guide you to what treatment, that you can probably get help at for your whatever you're addicted to.
You think anyone can find recovery?
I think so. It just depends on if you want to, when you're tired of it, when is it going to be enough,
I've heard so many people say they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, yeah. Ernie, thank you.
Well,
It's been great, and congratulations on your long-term recovery. Keep it going, and thank you for helping other younger people at Odyssey. Good. It's great. Nicole, good to see you again.
You too.
And thank you for watching or listening to another edition of Odyssey House Journals.